Hey everybody, so it's Warbs and Gassy going to be taking you through a lower body in-season session today. So this means that, because it's anything involved in legs, that means Josh is shot back off upstairs. And he's got stuck in the programming, so we're going to be doing it. So we're just planning our warm-up now. What are you thinking for warm-up, Gassy? Maybe explain why we're putting certain things in our warm-ups. We want to make sure we cover all the bases. We don't just want to jump straight into power and strength work, do we?
Yeah, for sure. So currently just getting the blood moving. Get the blood pumping around, raising our core temperature. It's important that when you stretch, you try and do it when you're warm. You don't want to stretch a cold muscle, really. We're going to start off by getting into an assisted T-spine stretch. It's a lovely variation that I saw on Instagram recently that I've been doing.
I need that for my shoulders as well.
It's a nice little nugget, so you'll like this one. So yeah, we'll jump into that one first. I think it's nice to actually warm up the full upper body as well as the lower body when doing lowers anyway, especially the back as well. So we'll jump into that one. We're going to do some kind of lower body and anterior sling. So we'll activate the core a little bit before we get into our back squats. And then we'll just get into the normal sort of lower body mobility then. So lots of hips, hams, glutes, open everything up and get ready for some CMJs and back squats.
So we've been in this gym about, how long, Gass? 9 months. And this, don't go, this floor is lovely, but it's nice to have a little bit of luxury. We got dead bugs.
This floor looks
so lovely. I want to come up with the goods. So at least we got something comfy to our dead bugs on now. So you've got your anterior sling, which is almost like how the front of your body all works together. And you've got your posterior sling, which is how the rear part of your body all works together. So this is warming up the anterior sling. So getting some weight, you can use a resistance band. Hold this in front of you. And I'm working like crazy to hold this here. And then we can drop our legs as well. So it's like a band resisted dead bug because you're like an upside down bug. And when you do this, you will feel your abs, your hip flexors, all working so hard to stay in a solid position. But it's just really nice warm up for lower body moves. And we'll flip over and then you can do a bird dog to get a posterior sling, which I'll show you now. So if I flipped over, that's anterior sling, now posterior sling. So you've got glutes, lower back, rear shoulder, all working together. So if you flip around and do these two, really nice full body warm up.
So you've probably seen me setting this up in the background. This is the assisted T-spine stretch. Now it's really nice to obviously open up the T-spine, especially if you sat at the desk or something all day. Really nice to actually have some assistance to get extra range of motion with that and challenge it. So set up the bench about an arm's distance away from the bar. What I want you to do is just have your shoulder blades touching the bottom of the bench, okay? So it's just your upper back. Lean back and reach for the bar. And from here, I want you to drop your hips into this and you'll feel your back just start to open up, ease up. It should feel a little bit uncomfortable. That's what we're looking for. With your hands, I'm looking at driving the bar to the ceiling. So I'm really pushing against it and allowing this movement just to give you some extra range of motion. You can pulse in and out of that position to hopefully get a little bit more range as well. What a lovely exercise. Try and grab the bar, and then with that, try and bring your hands to the ceiling.
Gassy said, that's a challenge of a day. It's often a neglected muscle group, and a lot of people will rely on just like squats and lower body to work their lower back. Sometimes quite good to work your lower back, very good to work your back in isolation, and something I neglect if I'm being perfectly honest. So basically like a Superman, so lift your chest and arms off the floor. Not just that, lift your legs off the ground as well, and it's surprising how many people can't even get their quads off the ground. So just lift it both off. What do you reckon, Gassy, for a hold? 3-second hold, something like that?
About 2-3 seconds, probably about 10 to 12 reps.
There we go. But you'll feel your back, lower back cooking on that, and it's again, don't go to failure on this. Don't treat it like a failure exercise, but as a warm-up, and to make sure that your lower back is activated and fully recruited before going into some squats. Just doing your due diligence and your warm-up and doing things like this, you will feel so much better on set 1 and 2, and so many people will squat, they go, oh, my third set feels the best. Like, yeah, because you probably haven't warmed up properly. So if you warm up proper, you'll get more out of your sets in your session.
Always hear it, don't we? It's like, oh, I've got bad lower back, and then our first sort of question to that is, how often do you train your lower back?
So true, isn't it?
This is a really nice exercise. You can put this at the end of a core finisher. You can put this at the start of your sessions just to help fire everything up. Glutes, lower back, just going to help for some extra protection.
And just on that, Morgs, right? My brother's a physio, so I get a lot from him, and he always says it's true. We don't want to try and sound like toxic males now, but it's true. Weak things break. So when someone on Gassy's point says, I got a bad lower back, it's like, well, do you train it? It's like, no. It's like, probably going to go then. So like, it feels counterintuitive to train something. I'm not saying if you're in pain, do this. Seek medical advice first, but if you're not training lower back, we don't highly recommend. You definitely should add this into your warm-ups. I guarantee it will help bulletproof you and help prevent the likelihood of developing lower back injuries. So yeah, weak things break. Train the lower back and it'll help you big time. This is my banker. I always like to sit deep into the hips. So I like to get up, get a hamstring stretch at the top, come back down, then it's like a deep hip stretch, and then just to develop this then, we'll sort of use your thoracic mobility as well and work in your lower traps. So put your arms over the head, come down, touch the feet for a hamstring stretch, and then like an overhead squat, sit back in there. I'm really poor at this. My range of motion used to be here. I'm a bit better now, so this is something I'm working on. Hip mobility, thoracic mobility, combining it together, and you'll feel nice and warm. I'm feeling pretty good now, Gas. Don't know about you, I'm ready to get going.
Let's get it.
So you can train strength and power at the same time, but right now in this session, we're gonna do power just to start off the session with some counter movement jumps. Only like 3. If you do 6 or 7, like it suddenly becomes not power, you're sort of going into like conditioning and like circuits. So only 3, but 3 max effort, and it really helps sort of power you up, switch on the nervous system, ready for bodyweight squats. Is it 3 reps? 2. 2 reps.
4 sets, 2 reps, and what I'm actually looking for here is a quick rebound off the floor.
Just 2.
So we're firing up, maximal effort each time, but I want that ground contact to be really quick at the bottom. So you saw 2 variations there. Warbs uses his arms, which is great, get a bit more momentum. If you want to be a little bit stricter, hands on the hips, just let the lower body do the work.
So Gas, this is one of our sessions from our in-season plan. What are you looking at in the early parts of the season now? Is this going to be one of the earlier sessions? We've periodised this for 9 months, haven't we? But absolutely. What are you looking for? What do you want to get out of that first block in particular?
Yeah, so really this first block is to complement the back end of our preseason 2.0. That's normally how it flows. We don't want to just completely separate the 2 programs. They're meant to complement each other. So back end of preseason 2.0, we were doing some good power stuff. We finished on a really nice power block, 2 weeks of that, moving dynamically, getting ready for season. This now is going to be a pure strength block, taking a step away from the strength in that last 2 weeks of the power. We're now getting back into some good strength work. So this is going to be over 5 to 4 reps over the next sort of 3 weeks with a deload on the 4th week. And yeah, we're just looking at a really good strength program. Normal key exercises like we always do. Good back squats, good compounds, RDLs, benching, chins, things like that. And we just got obviously prescribed percentages. So I think it's ranging from about 75% week 1, 77% week 2, 80% week 3 for your peak. Nice. And then going back to 75 for your deload. And then we just sort of spike that up each
Nice,
block,
that sounds good. So I'm using a bench and a plate because Gassie's fit and healthy and young and doesn't have any lower back issues, so we can free squat. I'll squat to a bench and a plate just to limit my range of motion. I find if I get a little bit too deep, it just makes my lower back a bit angry. So Gassie's been working with the Welsh netball girls lately. Like, we'll prescribe a back squat as a key lift, but your key lift might be slightly different. You might like to use something like this, like myself. You might like to squat like Gassie. So we can swap those for you for a key double leg lift. As long as it's a double leg strength lift, then we're happy. But work around your own limitations because injury prevention is really important. So don't jump in on this and do a brand new exercise you've never done. Do something that you're comfortable doing, and that's going to be much better for you. Say, Gass, you've been working with the Welsh netball girls a lot. What sort of double leg lifts do you think are the best for developing strength? Which ones are popular amongst athletes?
Yeah, so we've got like obviously the full range back squat, which is like your ideal textbook motion.
Yeah, that's probably number 1.
The thing is with athletes is a lot of them have some kind of injury or something that's going to prevent them from getting a full range of motion. So that's your ideal. We want to obviously have as much strength across a range of motion as possible. But like Wolves is showing here, a box squat's a really nice one. A trap bar deadlift is also a really nice one. Or a leg press even is something we've been using with the Welsh netball girls as well. Basically, we call it a double leg strength, and that's the stimulus we want. So we want a strength stimulus. So whatever exercise allows you to go heavy and get that strength stimulus is what's going to work well. We can worry about range of motion. We can worry about sort of the hypertrophy stuff and mobility on different exercises. This is just for your strength stimulus. I
think it's important as well. Once you pick that double leg strength, stick with it. So stick with that exercise. Don't like do 4 weeks of this, 4 weeks of leg press. Like get one, stick to it for like the whole program really. And that's when you get monster strength from that one exercise. So there is a level of mastery involved with strength training. You can't just jump from exercise to exercise. Stick to an exercise because your nervous system responds. It's not just like building muscle. Your nervous system gets more efficient at recruiting muscle. So like when you do master a movement, stick with it, and that's how you get proper strength gains, because you have the discipline and patience to stick with an exercise for that long. That's when you see your monsters like Gassy lifting 240 kilos, whatever you're doing these days.
Touch on what we're doing now. So this is week 1 of the program, essentially what we're going off. So this is kind of like a maintenance week. So we've got 4 sets of 5 today at 75%. So we'll be working up to our, sort of building up to our working set now. Then we kind of follow suit then. So it goes maintenance, accumulation, intensification, deload. So we'll look to accumulate volume. So it'll stay 75, 77%, and then we'll just add a set to accumulate more volume on that weight. So that's going to be week 2. Week 3 then is intensification. So we're just going to spike up that intensity a little bit there.
So you've done this for everyone, haven't you? Like you programmed it, so it's there for them just to follow, isn't it? They
Absolutely.
just do it, and it just provides it for you.
Yeah, so that's one of the nice things about having the app online, is all the prescriptions, logging, tracking weights, is taken care of. Thanks for feeling alright.
Gas. I wouldn't mind showing, I'd love you to do another rep. And like, tell you what, when Gassy next does an next rep, and maybe Morgs, I know Morgs is really clever, cameraman behind there, you can put lines on this. When Gassy next does it, look at Gassy's, like this sort of shin bone, the angle of that and the angle of his back, it's almost parallel. It looks perfect. So when he squats at the bottom, they're like this. When somebody has got legs like this and back like this, they're obviously way too much forward lean, not enough ankle flexion because it's too straight. You want a nice level of ankle flexion where the knees come just on top of the toes, and you want to lean forward just a tad, not too much. So you had a perfect gas. So we get your shape out in the next one. We can show people what that nice squat is.
Box is such a lovely variation.
Oh, I mean, I just think how
Still
nice this feels.
90 degrees.
It completely keeps it off my lower back.
Yeah.
Feels like I just load my legs nice, and
you can see
it
all working.
Extra 2 inches of depth. Do you know what I mean?
But then that's what I always say as well. It's like you get that extra depth on like a Bulgarian or something instead, where it's a little bit safer to load up.
Sure, such a good point. And like for me, like yes, to build muscle, ideally more range of motion is better. But like Gassy said, I can chase that in other exercises. So this is an exercise I'm going to chase strength on. There's other exercises like a Bulgarian where I can go deeper, really get that stretch and try and get some muscle growth. But the reason for me, I am much better off sacrificing 2 inches on my double leg strength and staying fit than trying to get an extra 2 inches chasing a young buck like Gassy and then getting lower back injuries. So I can chase that in other exercises. So leave your ego at the door, train sensibly and train smart, because injury prevention should be number 1. Then you can train all year round. So don't try and go macho, ass to grass, 200s chasing your mate who's been squatting for 4 years. Slow and patient, you'll get there eventually, but just do what suits you is so important. Here we go, look at Gassy's shin bone and look at his back and look how parallel they are to each other. So just for the first rep, guys, just pause just like half a second. See that? That is bang on. That is like ideal squat technique. So Gassy can load this up because he's got such good form. If we're not seeing this form, we'd be like, right, let's work on form first. But shin bone to spine looks perfect there. That's strong, Gas.
I asked all the time about lifting belts, whether you should be using them, will it ruin your stability, things like that. And again, it's very similar to whatever range of motion you can best work strength on. This isn't a stability exercise. Yeah. Your Copenhagen's, your levers, your RDL, single leg work, that's your stability. So this is your strength stimulus. That's gonna give you a really strong, efficient brace. I'll always use them, especially when I start going heavy. Helps keep my techers in. Nice brace into the belt, keeps me strong. But like I said, this isn't a stability exercise. This is your strength exercise. Stability will come elsewhere.
I think like 75% upwards is probably a good one. So like you've noticed you, Gas. So like your warm-up sets, it's quite good to get some resilience without it, but then when you get to that 75% threshold, that's when maybe you rely on the belt. So you don't want to be 100% reliant on it, but as you're getting heavy, look, the emphasis of these 3 sets is strength. Yeah. So if we can get an extra 2-3% out of this by using the belt, we'll do it, but only for this exercise. If I was a horse, they would have shot me by now.
Plenty of life.
Here comes the old boy. Also as well, right? If you're a youngster and you're squatting, when you squat on the way up, if your knees come in like this, you notice that happens when it gets heavy. You're like this and your knees come in, that's weakness in your glute med. So make sure you're working your glute med, a really good exercise for that, and a really good warm up for something like squat would be a single leg squat. So keep your knee in line with your toe. If you can't do 10 of these in your warm up, I know we didn't do it today, but we know we had this in on other days. If you can't do 10 single leg squats and that recruits your glute med massively, you shouldn't be squatting. So Get really strong glute me's. Also crab walks is a good one. Gassie's actually got a bad neck. Do you want demo a crab walk, Gassie?
Yeah,
Just
if you're a victim of the knees caving in, this is actually one of my favourites to counteract it. So you've got your crab walk, and I want you to sit down. It's like a low squat. Hold that position. Nice big steps out. Really lights up the, sort of the glutes there. Another one of my favourite ones is actually do some kind of goblet squat as well. Now this is if your squat technique is kind of really off and your knees are always caving in. But just focusing on coming down, full squat, holding the dumbbell and pausing there, just teaches really good habits.
Yeah, nice. Talking recently and like, we're sort of coaches, sometimes you get in the grind so much of like serving other people, isn't it? You know, clients and stuff. You forget about yourself a bit and we think, hang on, like we need to practice what we preach and we haven't actually followed a program. We sometimes just get in the gym, right, we're struggling for time, get a session in, get out. But I think now we're sort of getting to the point, we've both decided, didn't we, like we're going to follow like a specific bench plan.
Yeah.
We're going to follow our percentages that we prescribed now in season for our lower lift. And just like, and we've got a leaderboard in the app now, so we like just want to get strong as. And like let's set the example and let's lead by example. So like, yeah, it's been a busy period for all of us, but now we're going to just have a little bit of us time just in the day. Let's get some tin going and like, let's get strong as
Top
again.
10.
Yeah, 75%, you put, that's like a 192. Do you know what, right? I'm gonna get my calculator. I reckon that's 192. It's just to show people, if we prescribe you 75%, it's easy maths, isn't it? But just say your 190 box squat, divided by 100, so you see in the app, you know, 75%, then go, that's 1.9, times 75, 142, that's your working weight. So yeah, I'm about a 190 boxy then. Just so, I mean, that's probably about right for me.
Very happy. You got more in the tank on that anyway.
Yeah. What'd your boxy be? 240, 250? Be something silly.
I haven't got a long way to go down.
He's trying to make me feel good.
Yeah. Box squat's like a flipping cheat code for me though. Nice wolves. Lovely that. Plenty more in the tank there as well.
Yeah, I might.
Really important with strength training, something that we often see people getting wrong is actually shouldn't be just balls to the wall every week on strength. You want to be slightly in reserve, which is why we prescribe these percentages. 75% should feel relatively okay. It shouldn't be to failure. If you just go to failure and you peak too soon on week 1, 2, 3, you're just going to be absolutely fried for the rest of the program. Your CNS will not be able to recover. Yeah. So that's like really important with strength training is actually just be disciplined, stick to the percentages.
Trust the process.
3 months time when we peak, that's when your numbers will really shine through.
Yeah, yeah. A superset, is it? Oh, is it a superset? Oh, filthy. Go on, Gaz. Explain what we're doing next. Explain what we're doing next. So what's the next superset? Maybe, do you want to explain what your thinking is with putting these two next? Why is it in this order and why have you picked these two exercises?
Yeah, of course. So obviously we started off with power stay on CMJs. We've then gone to our main sort of double leg strength, which we want to be sort of freshest for, which is the back squat or box squat. Now we're going into some sort of posterior chain strength and some single leg stabilizer and strength work, so that unilateral strength. So we've got Bulgarian split squats and we've got RDLs. 3 sets of 8 on the Bulgarians and 3 sets of 8 on the RDLs as well. So this is very much just a building week. We're not trying to fry ourselves. 8 reps, decent hypertrophy range there. And then we'll start to sort of build some real strength in that posterior chain over the next few weeks.
Because I haven't done this for ages and this is new for me. Be careful with this now. So if you haven't done an RDL, you've got an 8, like this is going to be going to give you quite a lot of soreness next day. So I wouldn't do your 8th rep as anywhere near a fatigue rep. So for me, I'm probably going to leave, bear in mind this is early now, I've got plenty of time to chase weight on this. I'm probably going to leave like 2 or 3 reps in the tank. If I go anywhere near to feel like fatigue on this next day, oh my God, I'm gonna be paying for it. So slow and steady wins the race. You'll notice there's a common theme in strength training. So new stimulus, take it a little bit easier on week 1 and 2. You can start pushing the weight up down the line. Help me, what are the key things that we're looking for with an RDL, just so they know what to look out for. It's so misunderstood, isn't it?
Absolutely. So with Warbs here, first thing you'll see is his grip is actually like some French grip right here. So he's got an alternated grip. That just helps to stop the bar from rolling. His bum's coming to the back of the room, which is great. Almost like there's a button behind you. You want to kind of come back with your bum and try and push the button on the back of the wall. So that's a really nice coaching cue. Another thing with the RDLs that people often get wrong, which is why you might feel some kind of lower back pain by here, is you're actually coming too far down. We don't want to come all the way down to the shins. There's no need for that. This is more of a strength exercise, we just want to lengthen the hamstring. So just below the knee where Warbs is here is absolutely great. So that's a great range of motion. And if that feels easy, then that's probably a good sign that you can actually bump the weight up a little bit. Don't just try and challenge that range of motion the whole way down, because if you can sort of look at me a second, as I'm coming down here, as soon as I get past here, anything further down, I'm starting to curve through my spine, and we don't want that curvature. Stay nice and strong, coming down to about just below knee, and you're in a really strong position there to use
Keep
your
it hip
glutes.
dominant, isn't it?
Yeah.
So feel free, guys, that bar can like touch your legs all the way up and all the way down. Just skim your legs. So if you let it sort of drag too far in front, as Gassie's mentioned, it's going to put a bit of added unnecessary stress in your lower back. That's why skins are quite nice to wear, or like cycling shorts. You can just roll it down and roll it back up. Yeah. Keep that bar nice and close to the body. And as you look at side on, it just perfectly goes vertical. So just watch it once more. Like if I keep the bar close and I push my bum back, like Gassie said, watch the trajectory of the bar. It doesn't go forward. It can almost be on a Smith machine. It's just going directly up and directly down. And maybe a Smith machine, if you're brand new to this, is quite a good way to learn, because it makes you hinge back and you learn what bar path you should be taking. You're not leaning forward, you're not coming back. The bar just goes up and down like that. So that keeps it away from your lower back and keeps it a safe exercise. I was first prescribed them going back, it's like a 16 to 18 year old. I don't know why, like, there's so many good exercises out there, but there was one exercise I can remember now, like playing games, mate. I felt so freaking strong. I got strong as shit in these, like 140s, you know, as an 18, 19 year old. And I just felt like when I was just in that sort of position here and I was just like exploding out, eccentric contractions are really good for deceleration as well. Like I just found like athletically, I just felt so strong. I was doing RDLs, cleans, squats, jumping. I did that for 2 years. And the gap from 16 to 18, you think kids catch up, but because I was on a good training plan with Cardiff, I actually pulled so far ahead. Yeah. And like, this is one of those ones, I find it a bit harder now, I'm older. But when I was young, I was like, oh my God, you get good strength in this, it does transfer across, I find, really well. So keep those lats locked in as well. See my elbows don't lose the body. My elbows stay pretty close actually to my body. So keep those lats locked in. Don't want to release those shoulders back, keep them back the whole way. You'll lose a bit of range of motion, that's cool. A lot of people go down, they lose their shoulders, their chest comes in, just to get a bit of extra range. Don't worry about that. If you're actually super strict, you don't need a whole lot of range. And you just below the kneecap, and you can really fire those hamstrings and glutes. So keep those lats and elbows locked in.
Say for example, you're in peak season with Wales, Lions, on your camps. How did your training look in the gym now?
Mate, you still chase it though, but you probably only chase it for 2 sessions a week. You can't chase games 3 sessions a week. So a lot of people talk, don't get me wrong, if you've had a game which has been very demanding, yeah, you will just do the basics, because you can even just maintain strength by not going anywhere near your max lifts, but just by lifting within a certain range, you can maintain your strength. So there's a maintenance element. But I'd say for 78% of the season, you can still chase strength gains. You're not just holding on for 9 months. We still want to develop. There's probably only 2 sessions a week you can realistically do that. Yeah. Maybe 3 if your gains haven't been that demanding. So yeah, 3 times a week max, but you can still chase gains. Yeah, you can still chase gains in the week.
That's really cool as well, because obviously this is for our in-season program. It's not just in-season, it's just maintenance for 9 months. We're still chasing that, and it's going to be the program that allows you to sort of still chase those numbers, but hopefully with the right amount of volume to not sort of fatigue you for your games and your training and stuff like that. But what training days did you do then when you were in season?
So what we did was, like, say a Monday, it was very much on how you felt. So some backs might, like, because they don't experience as much contact as forwards, a forward might go with if your game was very heavy with scrum, line out, maul, you might just trade up the body and leave the legs. Your legs are still 48 hours, less than 48 hours. Play Saturday afternoon, Monday morning, you're less than 48 hours. So you might leave your legs for another day, just do an upper body session, maybe some lower body mobility and prehab, and then you might chase your lowers on Tuesday. So Tuesday's a heavy day. So we'd have like an uppers and a lowers session prescribed for Monday, Tuesday. You basically just pick the one which felt less sore on the Monday. So like you just said, you can still chase strength gains on both lifts. So yeah, that's how we did it. And then end of the week, like we've programmed, is a full body, because then you're pretty fresh in that week, and then you can get some power stuff in there, nice before a game as well. So yeah, uppers, lowers, full body. That's exactly how we've programmed actually. This is a lower body session on day one.
Monday.
But if you want to swap them, like, it's not the end of the world, but it should be fine. I imagine for people playing at club level, you should be fine to do lower body, no disrespect, but within 48 hours.
The programming, we're going to send out an advised weekly schedule as well. Monday, lower body session ideally. Tuesday, we'd recommend upper body with a pitch training session. Wednesday's going to be off. Thursday, we're going to advise full body and training. So it's a double training day again. But all that does is actually allow 48 hours for you to recover before your game day. Give yourself a whole day recovery, then play on Saturday.
So I did I did Bulgarians with the mate once. It was just all bodybuilder training. So it was like double leg, legs, leg press, double leg extension, hack squats. Do you know what I mean? Like, so I was like, oh, can we do some Bulgarians, mate? Do you mind? I just want to get some single leg stuff in. And like, maybe jumped on. Mate, honestly, he went like this, and his left leg body was just like a leaf, and he had to do something else because this is why we do it, isn't it? Because if you've got good knee control, never mind, if you've got good knee control and strength in a single leg lift, and this is the one we can get, like, I can get some good range there. You look at my knee angle there, that's below 90. So it's like I'm getting a really good knee angle in there. So it's good for good, but he couldn't do any of it. And that's why I think people really neglect those single leg exercises, don't they?
Yeah.
Now I find Bulgarian, right, is that if I can only do one exercise ever again, it'd be this, but I hate it at the same time. So one thing I don't want to worry about, if you're doing 8 reps each leg, 16 total reps, you're holding those dumbbells quite a long time. So I don't want my grip to be the limiting factor for me to rush reps. If you feel your grip going and you start rushing your reps. So I like grips for this because I want to do 8 proper solid reps each leg. I don't want to have to worry about my grip losing or giving way. So I'm going to get the grips on just so I can just focus on good form and not worry about if the dumbbells are slipping. Oh, I hate them, and I promise you I won't give you more than 4 sets of that because they are minging. Doing 4 sets of that takes too long. If you're doing double leg strength, you can get 4 sets in there. When you're doing single leg strength, I find 3 sets is enough. 4 sets takes ages because you got to do each leg, which takes twice the time. So 3 sets of them, plenty. How might what we're doing today, Gas, you look different compared to, say, 3 months down the line in the season? How have we programmed it differently?
Yeah, so September now is kicking off, and this is a really cool program. It's one of our first ones that's going to actually transition with the months, almost like a live program. So this month, so September, is going to be more of a maintenance strength phase. So just coming back in, you've got an increased training volume anyway because you're starting to play games again, you've got your training sort of going on. So we're accommodating for that, we're still getting some really good strength gains in. December is really how we see this first sort of phase peaking. So that's going to be a testing week. Now with December, typically terrible weather, games get called off, got your Christmas to sort of New Year's break. So it's typically quite a quiet month for sort of amateur level rugby anyway. So we thought that'd be a really good sort of place to initially start building up for our sort of max peaking phase. This is a really cool way that we can build intensity into your season amongst the sort of training volumes that you're going to have. So we're going to build to December. December's going to sort of be more of a peaking phase. Higher percentages, less reps, less sets.
So strength.
So real strength, and we'll hopefully get some really good sort of test scores on the board. We want to test you in December. Now the blocks coming up to that, we've obviously got the maintenance strength phase. We're then going to go into a functional strength and power phase. So we're going to start introducing a bit more of a power stimulus and start bringing the rep schemes down on the strength movements. So it's going to be lots of contrast training, different intensity techniques to actually get a bit of a complement, both strength and power. Then we're going to move into our strength speed, and then we're going to sort of peak then in December testing then. So
are the exercises pretty similar? Do you tweak the exercises?
Yeah, and that's the most important thing. People always want new exercises each block, and they think that just because the exercises don't change in a block, it's just staying the same. But like we said earlier, mastery of the skill is how you build strength. So we want to keep these exercises. These are all the exercises you'll need. Essentially, you've got double leg strength, you've got posterior strength, you've got single leg, you've got core, you've got your push, pull, horizontal, vertical, things like this. What we want to do is master these skills, and over the next few months, just build them up, increase the intensity, increase the volume, increase the percentages.
So the secret sauce is in the reps and percentages. Absolutely. Really, isn't it?
And the consistency.
Yeah, 100%. I don't expect a lot of people to have this. The bench is absolutely fine. Bench is probably a bit too high for Bulgarian. That's why we got this attachment. This attachment, I'll be honest, is from, we don't have a deal with them enough, it's from MirrorFit, but it's the only one I could find. It's brilliant. You can make a makeshift one across a squat rack, where you can put the Olympic bar along a lower J cup with some sort of padding or something, but we love this. So a bench is probably a little bit too high, because because then here you're sort of relying a little bit on some hip flexor and quad sort of flexibility. That can limit some people. Sometimes you get like wooden blocks in your gym, like power blocks. So you're putting your foot up to here. But I think a big mistake is people put their rear foot too high or too far back. So if it's too high and too far, it starts looking like this, and
not much range of motion.
We don't want that. So that's why this is a lovely attachment. But if you don't have this, use a lower block, or like I said, put this bar along some lower rack J cups, and then you can use that as well. That's a much better Bulgarian split squat for you, and you lift more as well, so you get a bit more strength, and you still get that range of movement in your front leg, which is what we're chasing anyway. I remember you said it was Copenhagen's gas. What was the second one?
Copenhagen's a supine leg raise as well. So really, you can do any kind of leg raise, this kind of exercise. It's quite nice to get some kind of beach core done early on in the week, because it'll probably give you some DOMs down your hip flexors, which you don't want when you're sprinting around the place. So sexy core, it's good for you, but don't do it on a Friday, don't do it on a Thursday. On a Thursday, we've got a Pallof press instead. So some anti-rotation work, great for core strength, not too dommy. On a Monday, plenty of days in reserve, a sexy six-pack going.
Groin is a really common injury when you get like deep groin pain. Similar again to when we discussed lower back, it's probably a weakness issue. So let's train it. So this is a really good one. Start off with like a shorter hold of 10 seconds, but this is obviously I'm working my obliques here, so we're getting some core in, but my leg is working hard to keep my hips up. So I'm getting this left adductor in here, so we'll do both sides. Now, say you're really good at this. Obviously the next progression would be adding like a plate here. Start with a 5 kilo plate just to push that hip down. So if you find you're really strong at this, just add a plate onto there as well.
What we're looking at, I've always got like a kind of double contraction coming on. So I'm coming into like this crucifix position here. I want it just to stay engaged, isolated. I want to isolate this part here. So don't want to use too much arms. We bring the legs up. From here then, we're going to kind of butt up, okay?
Oh,
so
nice.
Coming down, and you're trying to contract.
How many, Gas?
We've got 12 to 15.
A lot of the time your lower back's going to want to arch like this. So to keep your abs engaged, your lower back here, keep it compressed into the floor. So rather than arch like this, when you release your legs forward, if you keep your lower back pressed into the ground, then you feel your abs much more.
Across those hip flexors, but it's good to have some kind of sort of flexion and then also some kind of anti-rotation as well.
Thing is with like sets, like strength we'll do 5 sets sometimes, but it's only 2 reps. So if you did like 2 sets of 2, we're not getting much load in at all. So we need to get 5 sets. So we're getting enough strength stimulus, but enough load in. But like there's a lot of evidence suggesting if you're doing just like press-ups for max reps, you can just do like say 30 is your max amount of press-ups. Because you've gone close to failure, if you do 2 sets of that, you can count it to 2 sets. There's no like law you have to do 3 or 4 sets. So when it comes to muscle building, it's kind of like just getting close to failure. Set numbers aren't too massively relevant, you know. But with strength, we do want to get accumulative sets in, so we get some load in at the same time. We don't just want to do 1 set of strength per session, you know, we want to get it a few times. So there's no magic set number, kind of depends on what you're working on, I think, doesn't it?
Yeah, more the intensity in it. Like you see these bodybuilders that have got like sets of like 12 to 15 reps and they're just going, they've got 2 sets of 12 to 15, but they're like balls out, like absolute failure. And then you've got some, for example, when we're doing strength, where we can go to 5 sets, but then we're working slightly in reserve, so we can still build that stimulus.
Yeah.
Oh, he loves them now. A pro habit.
What's that?
Just getting everything done.
Get it done, mate. Do you know what? Genuine story. I was in the gym. Just like, you know, like a trait from like a young athlete, I think it's going to make it was not. I was in the gym, just like this, right? And then we had like 1 or 2 sets left to go. I was like, oh mate, say we're doing this. Like, oh mate, just get our adductors and get our core finished. And he was like, nah, oh mate, I'm going to knock on the head there. I was like, no, we got like another couple of sets, like, you know. And I was like, oh, no, I'm done, mate, I'm done. And he just got up and walked off. And I was like, I didn't help him. So I thought, like, if that's his first thought, that's just the way he is. And like, mate, within 1 year he was gone. I just remember thinking, you ain't going to make it top level. Mate, lo and behold, he was sacked off in a year because he didn't have that work ethic. Now, someone says, well, those 3 sets of adductors wouldn't have made him into a top class player. I'm like, no, they won't. But it's the mindset that you get everything done, that when you play a game, somebody says, how do I get confidence in the game? I'm like, because on a Monday to Friday, I have ticked every single box. I've hit my protein goal, I've done my prehab, I've done my strength, I've done my mobility, I've had my physio treatment, I've eaten well, I've slept well. I play on a Saturday and I'm like that, I'm ready. I've got my full armour on, I'm as prepared as I can be. So I get confidence from preparation. You don't just like do positive self-talk and play well. You can look back on your previous week, your previous month, your previous 5 years and go, oh, I'm better prepared than him. So like, but he didn't have that. I remember thinking, nah, you ain't got it. And that's what I say, just get it done. When I say get it done, that's kind of like, I still dip into that mindset and I just get it done because so many people are too lazy.
The boring bits that are easy to miss.
Yeah, mate, they're boring, but you've got to get it done.
They've got to be done.
Cool, that's us done. You're looking at 50 minutes to 60 minutes all in. There's 20 sets in total there, but you've got to bear in mind 6 of those at the end are like core and adductor work, and some of them are like primer sets at the start, like jump. So you've got like 10 hard working, kind of strengthy type sets, you know, so it's not a massive amount of work. So if you're doing sessions of 30 sets a session and you're flooding your legs with 15 reps on leg press, like you're doing the wrong thing, with all due respect. Love the work ethic, but you're doing the wrong thing. So that's how a lower body session should look like if you're particularly a rugby athlete. That's from our in-season plan. So don't do too much. Add sessions, not sets. Make sure you do that the week after, and by the time you get to Christmas, you'll be a beast. So yeah, check us out next week. We'll be doing something different, but that is lower body in season from SW7.